How's everybody doing? My name's Jake. I'm just going to make this series. It's hopefully going to be relatable for some of you and just some of the experiences that I've been through in my young adulthood. I'm 31 years of age and, I've had some hardships, I've had some wins, and like I said, it's really just to show that you're not alone and we're all in this together. So I hope you enjoy. So this first video is going to be about health and fitness and my journey through it. I wasn't always fit, especially as a younger kid. As a lot of kids, I ate like garbage. I didn't really prioritize my health until my late teens. So here's a little bit of insight and maybe you can relate to this as well. So when did I start? Well, I started at the age of 19. Like I said, I wasn't a fit kid. I wasn't that into sports. Like I definitely played sports growing up, but I didn't really have that competitiveness in me, so I never really played at higher levels. It was more so I was put into certain sports and I was expected to play them. Um, Now as an adult, I love playing sports. I play rec leagues, I box, I try to play as many sports as possible. I'm getting into golf too, so there's a lot of room for improvement, but yeah, I wish I was a little bit more competitive as a kid, but obviously you can't change the past, and I am happy with where I'm at right now. So, what got me going into the gym? A little bit of a backstory. At the age of 18, my mom did pass away, and I'm not a super spiritual guy, never have been. I just wasn't raised that way. And I'll never forget, I went to her 40th birthday party after she had passed, and a lot of family was there, a lot of friends. And I remember seeing this picture that was taken of me, and it kind of stuck with me. Well, later that night, I uh, I had a dream where my mom came to me and she said to me, "Jake, take a hard look at yourself. You got to get this figured out. Otherwise, you're going to be very unhappy in life." I woke up the next morning, and this was 12 years ago. I have not missed more than a week in the gym since that moment. Now, not everybody's going to have this, but I felt incredibly lucky, and it's helped me stay focused. And of course, there's been a lot of ups and downs, but to say the least, it's literally changed my life. I'll never forget when I was in high school, I'd go to the local corner store that was nearby, and I would get 2 pieces of pizza, a Coke for $5, I think it was, and then I'd also get a Monster energy drink as well as an extra large Coke slushie. I had that for lunch every single day. So that kind of gives you a little bit of insight into my health goals back then. I'll put a little photo up of what I was looking like at 19 at that birthday party. All right, so let's fast forward a few months. So I'm just getting into the gym and I'm learning, I'm trying to lose weight, I'm following diets, I'm eating barely anything, just trying to keep that protein up. And I ended up moving to Seattle to live with some of my family members just to hopefully get through some of these tough times. And my cousin, he was just always a natural athlete, and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna be going to the gym. Would you like to join me?" He said, "Yeah, let's do it." So first week, good, hitting iron. I can't put up a plate on the bench, but sure enough, he can. Week two, I'm gonna try and put up 2 plates. So he does, and he puts up 2 plates. Week three, no, maybe it was about a month in, he puts up 3 plates on the bench. I've been doing this for 12 years. I've still never been able to do 3 plates. So in my mind, there was a little bit of discouragement, and I'll be honest, it kind of hurt the ego a little bit, and it's probably caused more injury than good because ego lifting was a big part for me as a kid, or not as a kid, but as a very young adult, and trying to keep up with people like him probably wasn't the best idea. And I guess that's where I want to bring this to light, that genetics does play a role. It's obviously you can build strength, but some people are just naturally gifted. So a big thing is to just don't compare yourselves to others, because that's just going to be not great for you. And like I said, with myself, I've injured myself. I still can't deadlift heavy because I injured my back when I was 21, and I still haven't fully recovered from that injury. So just learning what works best for you, that's going to be the number one driver in making a change and making you stick with it. I've got two really good friends, and they are some of the most, they got the bodies of Greek gods. So when I was 262 pounds, I was comparing myself to them, and they had already been doing it for 8 years, and I didn't understand why. Oh my gosh, I've been doing this for 6 months. Why don't I look like them yet? Well, of course, it takes time. It takes years and years and years of practice. So I guess what I want you to take away from this is it's not an overnight thing, and it's more so of a lifestyle change that you have to be willing to make. And if you can do that and create that habit out of it, I think that you're really going to enjoy life a little bit more. It's something that you can always fall back on. For me, it's really a form of meditation. I can't sit down and meditate for 5-10 minutes. I can't clear my mind properly. So when I go to the gym for that hour, that is my meditation. So what obstacles have I had? Well, I think it's the weight fluctuation. I constantly go up and down. It took me about 5 or 6 years to really figure it out and dial it in and what works for me. So what works for me is I do really well on high protein, about 3,000 to 3,200 calories a day, as well as I got to do cardio. If I'm just doing weight training, I will put on a little bit of fat, and I'll definitely go up on the scale. When I do cardio though, I can build muscle at the same time, but also not drop weight if I don't want to, because obviously my calorie intake goes up a little bit as well if I'm trying not to lose a bunch of weight. But I've always found that cardio is what really does well for me. Of course, I'm still doing weight training. That's what I enjoy doing. And do I love cardio? Not really, but it's just what works for me. So, like I said, it took me 6 years to figure out what works and what doesn't. And now here I am, and I can kind of dictate what my body does. And of course, I go off track sometimes. We just had Christmas. I I think I ate my body weight in food 3 times. There was one night I had about 20 of those shortbread cookies. So yeah, things do happen. Life happens. Injuries happen. There's a lot of different variables that can throw you off track. But just stay consistent. What does the gym mean to me? Well, honestly, it means kind of everything to me. I sometimes get in my head in life and think like, am I on the right track? But then I think about my health, and I've definitely had some health scares. I had melanoma about 8 years ago. I'll go into that in another video. But when I'm healthy, I'm my best self. And the gym has taught me so much. Dieting has taught me so much. And I think, after 12 years, I've obviously created this habit, and I plan on keeping it for the rest of my life. And I think if you can do that too, I think you'll really appreciate it, and it'll become a part of you. When you do it for such a long period of time, people don't question why you're not getting absolutely wasted every weekend, why, you choose not to eat certain things, and your body will thank you later in life too. As long as you're not injuring yourself like me, I hope to have some great longevity, and hopefully my joints can keep up. But there's lots of things that you can do to help aid protecting those, right? You don't need to be an Olympic lifter. You just need to be healthy. Habit, mindset, and consistency. The gym has definitely taught me my best habits and how to be consistent and how to have the right mindset. After years of comparing myself to others, it's really just become, no, this is not about anybody else. This is about you and creating good habits and being healthy. The consistency just shows up in other parts of my life. I think without the gym, I wouldn't be as consistent in other parts of my life. So I think it's important that you do this to build those life lessons, so then when life does throw stuff at you, you're prepared. And it's just a very valuable skill. Ups and downs, quite literally. I've gone through lots of ups and downs, whether it's injury or not being happy with what I'm doing, and being upset with the scale or comparing myself to others. And, when it comes to the gym, you're your own worst enemy, and you got to figure that out in your head. And I still struggle to it to this day, but I can catch it a lot quicker now. And I think that's really important. So, like I said, I started at 262. I have been as low as 172. Right now, I'm a comfortable 205. I'm extremely happy. I'm not hardcore dieting. I'm at about the 80-20 rule. 80% is good, 20% could be better. And I find this really works for me. I'm overall happier. So, how long to see success? Well, success is different for everybody. It's not a linear path. There's going to be a lot of obstacles, and you might see it really quick if you have those great genetics, or it might take a little bit longer. But as long as you stick with it, I truly believe anybody can accomplish the goals that they set out for themselves. Creating better relationships with food and alcohol. So this was hard for me. When I first started, I was 19. I was fresh out of high school. I was partying, drinking, eating whatever I wanted. I remember I had a bag of chips beside my bed, and I would just eat from that whenever I got hungry. So you just kind of have to figure out a good relationship with food and try not eating like an asshole all the time. Like I said, that 80-20 rule. 80% good, 20% not so good. And if you can stick with that day in and day out, a big thing for me is stacking days. The more days you can do it consistently, the better results you're going to see. And I'm not perfect. Right now I'm probably at 5 stack. No, I'm at 3 stack days. But I'll never forget when I did get down to 172, I was 6.4% body fat, and I had stacked about 500 days, and that's what it took to get there, right? So it's going to be a challenge if that's what you want to do. But if you want to just be comfortable but fit and happy, if that's where you find your happiness from, if you can stack 5 days in a row, that's great. 6 days is awesome. 7 days, awesome. If you can stack an entire month, you're going to start seeing that change. What is it? 21 days to build a habit. Takes 21 days for you to see. No. Is it 21 days for you to see a difference? About 35 days or something like that for other people to see a difference. So it takes time, but if you could just bottle up what it feels like when people start noticing that change in you, you would want to drink from that bottle for the rest of your life. I remember about 7 years ago, I had seen some people that I hadn't seen in a long time, and they looked at me and they're like, you have probably had the best glow up out of anybody from our hometown. And that made me feel really good. And that's not what I chase anymore, but it's true, I've worked hard for this. And when you work hard for something and you succeed at it, you should be proud of yourself. You should accept that recognition and add that feather to your cap, because you're going to work damn hard for that. So accept it, but don't let your ego shine. So it really is just more than looking good. Like I said, I was friends with 2 guys, bodies of a Greek god, and I just want to be like them. And when I finally started to look like them, I realized I'm not doing this for anybody else but myself. I know that the saying is, or the meme is, you try to get a good body so you could pick up girls, but then you get a good body and all you can look at is yourself, and that's totally fine. But at the end of the day, it is more than just looking good. It's, like I said, everything before, just trying to create that good habit and that healthy lifestyle. What would I have done differently? That's a big question, because there's a lot of things I would have done differently. I think the biggest thing I would have done is try not to compare myself to others. Don't ego lift. Stretch more. Be more happy with where you're at. Enjoy the journey. And just, you know what? What would I have done differently? I would have started this at a younger age, because I often think if I were to have never gotten up to where I got to, what would my life have been like? I love my life, but I do wonder that. Would I have enjoyed sports more? Would I have been more competitive? Could I have played higher levels of sports? I think that's the one thing I do think back on, even though now I do play sports, but I do wonder what that would have been like. But other than that, definitely don't compare yourselves to other. Learn exercises so you don't injure yourself, because like I said, I used to deadlift and now I can't. I got up to about a 435-pound deadlift and just doesn't happen for me anymore. Same with squatting. Before COVID happened, so here's a little important life lesson. So before COVID, I was 10 pounds away from a 4-plate squat, and it had taken me about 2 years to build up to this. And so 4 plates is 405 pounds. I was 5 pounds off of 400. So that would have been a pretty cool milestone. And then COVID hit, so everybody's locked indoors, and I didn't have access to a squat rack for, I think it was about 2 months. So yeah, I regressed a little bit. And then when COVID was all done and the gyms were open, I jumped right back into squatting like I had never left, and I instantly injured myself. Since then, it took me about a year to recover, and I just never gotten back up there. Now I don't go much over 2 plates if I do squat, just because it's not worth it. I'm here for the long haul. I don't care about numbers anymore. I just want to do it for the longevity. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. That was an incredible first episode. I hope that some people gathered some knowledge from this and some information. Please, if you have any questions or would like to chat, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to meet some like-minded people, and I'm just having fun with this. So I can't wait to see what y'all say, and excited to see you in the next video. Thank you.